Hello dancers, welcome back to my channel. I'm Claudia Dean and I have a really exciting video for all of you today. I've been seeing a lot of people do it and I feel like I need to do it with my amazing community, which is all of you, and just give you my honest advice on, I guess, topics that come up a lot with all of you asking me on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and even on all of my posts. So what I've decided to do is label this video Advice with Claudia, and on my Claudia Dean World Instagram, I asked you all to give me some scenarios that you need advice with, and I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. So if you're not already following my Claudia Dean World Instagram, you need to start doing that. And I think otherwise, let's just get straight into the video. So the first question I have here is such a good one and I really want to talk about it. It is body positivity. I feel like everyone needs to remember that there's always something about our bodies that we wish were different, including me, including your mom, including the prettiest person that you think is in the world, including them. So when I was about 18, I actually learned that the best way to accept who I was and the body that I had was trying to use the body that I had been given to my advantage. So for example, I was built with quite a strong body. I have quite strong quads, and I was obviously so self-conscious of them when I was back dancing when I was much younger, because I was often told that my muscles were bulky. So instead of me dwelling on the fact that I might have had bulky muscles, instead I actually used it to help me. I then worked out, okay, so if I'm built more strong, then that means I should have a strong jump, a strong turn, and that's exactly what I started to do. I started to really gear my energy and make sure that my technique in those areas was up here, because I knew that my build was more going that way. I wasn't built with really long, lean muscles. I certainly had a more strong build, and I think that's what some of you need to remember. Whatever it is that you're insecure about, you need to try and channel it into a positive direction that actually benefits you. And I'm actually certainly seeing a big change in body positivity and people accepting who they are, especially on social media. Like, I feel like nowadays we're seeing a lot more inclusivity, and I can really see that all different body types nowadays have the opportunities to do all different types of things. And that's one thing you've got to remember. So whatever it is that you're insecure about, use it to your advantage. And remember, it doesn't have to hold you back. The only person that's holding you back is you. So it's time to move past those thoughts and try and just channel it in a really positive direction. The next one I have here is anxiety tips. Now, I can definitely help you with this one because I think nowadays with social media, I feel like anxiety is definitely very present. So some of the things in the past that have personally helped me is, number one, being off my phone. So if I feel anxious when I wake up, or if I'm doing something or in a situation, I really try and put my phone down because I feel like that can heighten it. So if you're checking your emails or if you're on social media and you're feeling anxious already, you honestly just need to put your phone down. You need to go into a really calm space and breathe. The next thing that I would say is meditation. Meditation overall has made me a calmer person. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know I'm a big advocate for meditation. I truly believe it makes us so much more calm and it reduces anxiety. Another thing that I like to do is baths. I feel like putting some Epsom salts into a bath and just sitting there for an hour or two and just relaxing and just being really calm with my thoughts also really helps me. Another thing that I did recently was quick coffee. I found that the more coffee I was drinking, I was only having one a day, but the longer it went on, I basically was just getting more and more anxious, even talking to people. So that was when I made the decision to quit coffee, and basically the only thing I drink now is green tea or peppermint tea, and I honestly feel so much better for it. So I'd recommend that. And I think also we have to remember it's not the same for everyone. Like, that's only what's personally helped me. I've experienced anxiety a few times. I actually had a moment like about 2 months ago when I was going to film something and I just got so anxious. It was for something really important and I got so anxious, and I realized that that day I'd had a coffee and I hadn't had a coffee for like months, and I was like, oh my gosh, coffee is my trigger. So I think if you can find out your triggers, then you can actually dig deeper and work out what to do to reduce yourself from going towards those triggers. times because we obviously don't want to feel anxious. The next one here is a very popular one. I had a few requests for this. By the way, there's like so many in here, but motivation. So tips for motivation. Now, my take on motivation is you are up to you. If you decide to do nothing, nothing will happen. If you decide to put in 150%, you're gonna see 150% in your results. So that is honestly up to you, and no one else can drive that train for you. I feel like if you're getting your mum, your dog, your sister, your teacher to do it for you, it never lasts. So I think the most important thing is to remember that you have to do it. It's up to you. All of your opportunities, all of your failures, all of your lessons, all of your grand moments that you go through are sort of made up because of what you decide to do with yourself. Like if I decided tomorrow that I just wanted to sleep in bed and stay in bed till 9 o'clock, get up, not really reply to my emails, not answer my DMs, not help anyone, just stay home, then what do you think's gonna happen? Nothing will happen. You won't see me online. You won't see anything progress in my businesses. Like, you know where I'm trying to go with this. And the same thing is for you. If you decide to not do your schoolwork, to not go to dance, do you think you're gonna improve those areas? Probably not. So that is honestly my biggest motivation, is like I have goals that are up here, and the only way that we can all reach those goals and we can get to the places that we want to get to is by actually having motivation to take baby steps to get there. I think a lot of people also as well lose motivation when they can see the goals that they want to reach, but they kind of see it as this like giant staircase they've got to get up. I think doing something and just starting is better than not starting at all. So a lot of people say, oh, I really want to get here, but where do I start? It's like, just start doing something. Start doing your foot exercises, start talking to the camera, start facing your fears, take yourself out of your comfort zone. Stop sitting in where you are right now, because that's only gonna make you dwell and it will make you spiral lower. Like you've got to pick yourself out of that and do little things every single day that challenge you as a person. I mean, if that talk didn't motivate you, I don't know what is. So it's time to just get up and get it done. Just one more thing that I'm gonna add on to this, because this is really, really important. Let's just say your goal is to get into the Royal Ballet, and you can see that goal and it seems so far away. You're like, how on earth am I gonna get to the Royal Ballet? I'm 13, I'm sitting in my bedroom at home watching Claudia on YouTube. Like, how am I gonna get there? So you gotta remember, what are the baby steps to get there? So let's just list them out. First of all, you're gonna turn up to all your classes. You're gonna make sure that you're doing your extra practice at home. You're doing all of your daily exercises. Then you're gonna send in your videotape when you get to the right age to actually audition to the Royal Ballet School. You'll either get in or you're gonna get feedback. From there, you work out what you need to do. You either need to work on different areas or you fly to London. Then obviously you're there, you train, you're working hard, and then of course you're one step closer of getting to where you actually wanted to be. So there's almost like so many different steps in every single goal. Don't just think like miraculously one day you're gonna be in the Royal Ballet from doing nothing. You have to actually continually be consistent. Consistency is key. Someone asked me, Claudia, what is your goal for 2021? And I literally replied, consistency. And that person wrote back and said, what do you mean? And I said, consistent at every single thing I commit to in my life. Whether that's work, business, relationships, friendships, you have to be consistent. If you want to see results in anything in your life, you need to stick to consistency. Okay, this is another really good one, because this is to do with comparison, which I know is so, what's the word? It's just happening a lot nowadays. I feel like it happens a lot due to social media. So, everyone in my class is better than me and I feel lost. How do I focus on myself and my improvements? I think another thing you've got to remember with this, dancers, is the energy that you spend on someone else could be energy that you actually spend on yourself. Can you imagine if you spend about 30 minutes a day worrying about what someone else is doing, worrying about how much better they are, worrying about the opportunities that they got, and you could actually actively put that time into bettering you? Like, that surely has to want to stop you from comparing yourself to other people. There's just no point. I'll tell you why. We're all on a different path, okay? You know how I just mentioned about the Raw Ballet? Let's just say there's 50 million people in this world that want to join the Raw Ballet ride. That doesn't mean that only one person can get there. You can all get there, but guess what? You're all gonna get there different ways. Like someone's gonna get there by doing A, B, C, D. Another person's gonna get there by doing Z, E, F, G. Another person's gonna get there by going M, N, S, Q. Like I'm trying to give you different examples. We all have different pathways, and that's the beauty of our journeys. Like if we all got there by going A, B, C, D, how boring would that be? Like, how actually boring would that be? No one would have a story. No one would be able to share their struggles. No one would go through any lessons. And I always say fails and lessons, they get us to where we need to be in life because they actually teach us the most valuable component to life, which is learning. So when you're in class and you're worrying about that other person, I actually want you to think of a word. Like for me, if that was me, I actually don't struggle with comparing myself to other people. I used to when I was younger, but not anymore. But when I was younger, I used to imagine a word and it would just take me out of that comparison zone. So I would just say Claudia, or I'd say Romeo, or I'd say something that would actually take me out of that. And that would actually almost wake me up and go, yeah, I'm catching myself out. I'm catching myself out of that bad habit. And you almost have to train your mind to remember, as soon as you say that word, you have to be thinking about what's gonna better you and then start actively doing something that's gonna better you. So you've taken your mind out of that mindset. So now it's time to take your body out of that negative mindset. So all of a sudden, I want you to start doing a key exercise. I want you to start working on your feet. I want you to start practicing your jumps. Do something that's actually gonna then benefit you. And you'll find in a matter of time, after about a week, if you've said Claudia, Romeo, whatever it is about 1,000,000 times, you won't want to keep going there. Like you'll just remember, wait a minute, this journey's about what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the best ways to get out of that comparison mindset. Now, the next one is quite a good one. It's how to keep a good mental health, especially during COVID. Now, I would say this is so dependent on who you are and your surroundings and I guess what you have around you and your resources. So I think there's always actively things that we can be doing to keep our mental health strong if we decide to see the opportunity in those things. So for example, I have a lot of dancers say to me, Claudia, I've got no space at home to practice my dancing. And I've honestly realized that you can do anything in a meter by a meter. Like everyone here will have a meter by a meter somewhere. And if you don't have it at home, you can find a meter by meter at the public park. So if you're always trying to find a way to just get it done, then I think your mental health should always stay on top. Another thing is that a lot of dancers say that their dance schools have shut down. And obviously I know that because it's happened here in Australia too. But I also think about nowadays how many online resources we have available at our fingertips. Think of if you just go onto YouTube and you type warm-up ballet bar, how many warm-up ballet bars there are. Think of if you go onto my platform, Coach Me World, there's like over 400 videos on there for you to practice at home and for you to do. So I think our mental health struggles when we're not really seeing the opportunity in things. And I think if you can just, again, take it back down to basics. Go, all right, what is stopping me here? What is making me feel sad? What is making me feel upset about COVID? And work out what it is and work out every single resource that you can use to still make it happen, because that's what I try and do. I try and see the positive in any situation. I think actually probably one of the biggest things during lockdown and during COVID-19, I think all of us have learned how important it is to have a calm mind and be adaptable. I think being adaptable during this time has probably been one of the biggest things that I've ever learned, and I'm sure you watching this right now, you can relate. Everyone's had to adapt in a different way. I've had to adapt my whole business. You might have had to adapt your whole schedule. You might have had to adapt to a new education. Like everyone's had to change from something that was once normal to now something that's like totally different. But I think that's life, and that's just the way we cope during these times. So I think if you're in that negative mind space, try and find the opportunity, and I'm sure you will dig deep and you'll see that there's so many more things that you can do to help yourself. Okay, this is a good one and very common. How to deal with toxic dancers and dance teachers and things like favoritism. Now, I feel like favoritism, it does happen in a lot of places, but I think the biggest thing you've got to remember is, does your teacher genuinely have your best interests at heart? And if the answer is yes, then you're in a safe space, you're in a good place, and I'm sure your teacher's gonna do everything you can to get to where you want to go. But if the answer is no, I think it's honestly time for a change. I think if you're dealing with toxic behavior, so much favoritism to the point where you don't wanna dance, why are you there? Why are you choosing that, when you could be choosing something so much more positive? There are thousands of dance schools around Australia, around the world, and there's so many dance schools that would love to have you. I know that's really hard to believe because sometimes you think that your toxic environment is all you can get, but it's not. You have the opportunity to change and to transform yourself at any moment. You haven't signed a contract. No one said that you've got to stay there until the end of 2022. You can move, you can change, you can adapt, you can do anything at any time. Like lately when I get asked, oh Claudia, how do I deal with a toxic dance school? I'm honestly just in the mindset, you just need to change dance schools because there's so many that aren't toxic. So I think if you're at one that is, just remember you don't need to put up with that. And the only way, honestly, that you're gonna get out of that is by changing your environment. So remember that change, it can be scary because as I said, sometimes we get so used to our surroundings and used to our friends, but you've got to put your mental health, you've got to put you first sometimes. And if that means that you need to change your environment, then so be it. So remember that, dancers. Okay, now the next question is eating healthy and fueling. So I'm guessing here, this person wants advice on how to do that. Now, I would say, again, baby steps. Like sometimes if all of a sudden you go, okay, I'm gonna be really conscious about what I'm actually fueling my body with, and you just go from eating takeaway and snacking on unhealthy things to all of a sudden like chicken and greens every single night, your body and your mind's gonna get quite a big shock. So I think if you can just implement healthy alternatives. So for example, if you go for a bag of chips every single afternoon, maybe instead go for cutting up a fresh mango or a fresh orange. I actually caught myself doing that this afternoon. I had like so much filming today and I was honestly quite tired and I knew I had more filming tonight. So I was like, oh, I just need a quick snack. I'm just gonna grab some chips here. And I went to grab them and I was like, Claudia, this is not gonna make you feel good. Like when you start filming in a few more hours, you're not gonna feel good. Like grab the mango, grab the orange, it takes 2 minutes to chop it up and you're gonna feel so much better. And now I feel amazing. So I feel like it's just baby steps and just swapping little things for more healthier options. And it's not about being on some crazy diet. Like I'm totally against that. If you're living a balanced lifestyle and you're fueling yourself with balanced foods, I feel like you honestly can't go wrong. And can I just add to this too? How much better do you feel when you actually eat a wholesome, nutritious meal? So when we moved into our new place, I actually said to Lachlan, I really want to get more into cooking. Like I already love cooking, but I want to start cooking every single meal because I know it makes me feel good. It's not about how you look all the time, it's actually how it makes you feel on the inside. I found that when I was eating takeaway and just unhealthier snacks and options, I was just finding my moods were so up and down and overall, I just didn't feel good. Whereas now that I'm choosing healthier options, I'm cooking things from scratch, you just feel so much better. So I think if you're struggling with making healthier options, then actually I share heaps on my Instagram. Go to my Instagram because I'm not like a master chef, but I do share a lot of easy recipes. When you go to grab an unhealthy option, just go, okay, what could I eat right now that's gonna make it more healthy and nutritious and make me feel better? And I think if every single time you can swap it for something healthier, you're winning. Okay, this one's really interesting. Manifesting and using the law of attraction. Now, everyone knows, well, if you've been following me for a while, I'm really into manifesting. And I've got a top tip to add to this lately that I learned on one of my favorite podcasts. So, if you didn't know, I love to manifest all good things into my life. So I basically, at the start of every year, I create a full-on vision board that's got printed out photos of what I want in my life for that year. And can I just say, probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, nearly everything on that board happens. because I'm manifesting it. So basically I do that. I've also started writing down as well a whiteboard of energies that I want to attract for that year. So if I found that last year I was stressed, I was tired, then what I'll do is I'll actually write down the energies and the moods that I want to feel for 2021. So for example, this year I wrote down I want to be calm, I want to be balanced, I want to stay consistent, and of course the obvious one, which is happiness. And I feel like when I write that down and I focus on those 4 energies and those 4 words, I feel like honestly, it happens. Like you start to believe that that's how you should feel, and it honestly helps. So that's what I do. And I also as well have a little album on my phone filled with all of those printed pictures as well. So pretty much anywhere I go, whether I'm at home looking at my vision board or whether I'm on my phone, I know that I have quick access to those goals. I was listening to this podcast the other day and I'd never thought of this before, but this girl, Georgie Stevenson is her name, by the way, she basically mentioned that along with your vision boards and the moods you want to attract, you should also be writing down how you would feel if you achieved that goal. So for example, let's just say your goal on that list is to get into your dream ballet school. Next to it, you should be writing down how you would feel if you achieved that and actually how it would change and impact your life for the better. Because guess what? As soon as you write down the feeling that you would get, you're actually believing that it's going to happen. And I feel like if you believe that it's going to happen, it's more likely to happen. And honestly, there is like a crazy amount of things that I have manifested over the years. Like a crazy amount of things, and a lot of them are very personal to me, and I have shared my vision boards on my Instagram. I think it's a highlight on my Instagram. If you want to learn more about it, just go to my Insta as well, but it's kind of scary what the mind can do when you really commit to it and you truly believe that you're capable of doing anything. So go and check that out. Okay, this is a good one. Accepting rejection and using that to drive you forward. So I think you've got to remember that if you've been rejected from somewhere or something doesn't work out, it wasn't meant for you anyway, and why would you want to force it? Like whenever something doesn't work out for me and an opportunity just goes, which it happens all the time, you know, I always get rejected or knocked back from things in business like every single day. I think you've got to remind yourself, it honestly was not meant to happen because there's something better waiting for you. And I know it's very hard to see in the moment, like when you get the letter that you haven't been accepted into that dream ballet school that you've always wanted to get accepted into, and you read the lines, unfortunately, like I can guarantee you that if you were accepted, that school wouldn't have been the right fit for you. You would have gone there, you probably wouldn't have liked it. You would have struggled with the teachers, you would have struggled with the style that they're training in. Like there would have been something that would have been a struggle. And I think you've got to see it as that particular school or that particular opportunity has actually done you a favor. Because first of all, they've helped you actually get onto the right path in life, because that one hasn't worked out. So guess what? You're not going to give up. You're not going to stop there. We don't do that. You have to make sure that now that pushes you into the right direction that you're meant to go in. Because in life, we have a million different opportunities that we can pursue. And I feel like life actually gives us signs as to what's going to work and what's not going to work. If something's meant to align, if something's meant to happen, it's going to happen and it's going to work out. You're going to be accepted into that school. You're going to have all those opportunities come to you when the time is right and when your body and mind is open to receiving those opportunities. So just remember, use it. Oh, my dogs are here. Just remember, use all of that as a driving force, and rejection is normal. We all experience it, but you got to make sure you don't quit. It just pushes you onto the right path. You know what? I'm actually scrolling through and there are so many questions here. Okay. And one thing I noticed in common with all the questions is that they are quite negative topics. Like it's all about how to deal with an injury, how to cope with favoritism, how do I not let rejection get to me, how do I not compare myself to someone else. Like they're all very negative, which I understand because you obviously want advice on these topics. But I want to work out where all this stems from. Like, why are all these problems happening? Is it because of social media? Is it because we're always on our phones? Like, what is the reason? Can you guys actually comment in the comments below? Because I'm actually going to ask this question to you all, because I don't know whether I live in a fairyland, but you know, obviously I have day-to-day problems, but I feel like they never define who I actually am. And I think that's one of the biggest things with these questions here is I can see that like the answers are very, like they almost make me feel sad when I read them. And I'm like, none of this should define you. Whatever you've sent in here, dancers, if you participated in this, I want you to remember that no problem ever defines you, and find out what it is that's actually causing you to feel that way, because if you know your trigger in anything, you can then work on it. It's like what I said with the coffee. I knew that like brought on my anxiety, so I stopped drinking coffee and I started to meditate. Like, I think if you know your triggers, you can always keep working on yourself. But I'm asking you that question. What do you think it is nowadays? Because I definitely notice that the same questions come up and they're always like very sad topics. And I don't want anyone to be sad here. I want to make sure that we're all happy and we're all in this together. But just remember, nothing defines you. You can overcome anything and you're capable of anything. So hopefully that gives you some inspiration today, dancers. And remember, I love you guys lots, and just stay positive, stay happy. Make sure you follow me on Instagram so each day I can bring some happiness into your life, okay? Love you guys lots. I'll see you very soon. Bye.